everyone, and welcome to this month's Tech Tip Tuesday video. Today we are going to talk about a functionality in M1 called invoice offsets. Now before we get into M1, let's define what an invoice offset actually is. There are two types of invoice offsets. There is an AP invoice offset and an AR invoice offset. Their purpose is for those organizations where you sell and buy items from them. This could result in where they owe you money and you owe them money. Yes, you could send checks back and forth, or you can do an offset. Basically, one offsets the other. So the question comes into play, how to decide which one to use? Well, it really is based on what do you have to do at the end of the transaction. If you have to, after the offset, send them payment, then you would do the offset in the accounts payable module. If they, after the offset, have to send you payment, then you would do the transaction in the accounts receivable module. So today's video is concentrating on AP invoice offsets. And so that means we are going to be paying something to the organization. We'll be covering the AR invoice offsets in next month's Tech Tip Tuesday video. So let's lay out the example that we will use for today. We have Sparks Industries, who is a customer and a supplier. We have an invoice in the system where we owe them $10,000. They also owe us $7,000. Once we process this in M1, the end result will be that we owe them $3,000. So let's now go ahead and move on into M1 and see this in action. Now, before we do the actual financial process, let's take a look at the setup here of Sparks Industries. Now, it is important that they are both an active customer and an active supplier. In order to be able to do an offset, you have to have both of these as active. You can also see further down here in the organization card where you can set up their EFT payment details. So if you do some type of electronic funds transfer to them, you have the information area here that you can put in, and this will carry over into the appropriate places to go ahead and process the EFT. So those are really the two key main areas within the organization that need to make sure are filled out if needed, at least the active supplier and active customer. Now let's go into the financial side and actually process the transaction. So since we determined earlier that I am paying something out, we are going to go into accounts payable. We're going to go into the AP payment entry. We're going to go ahead and start our session here using the next ID. And we're just going to say yes, we're going to pay them by check. And we're going to go and start our payment header. From within the payment header, the key field that actually triggers the invoice offset is in this payment type dropdown. I'm going to go ahead and show you the choices you have here, and you can see one of the choices here is the AR invoice offset. Now don't let that confuse you, because you might say, well, I thought we were in AP. Why are we seeing a listing for AR? Well, it's because the AR invoice that's in the system is going to offset the AP payment that we're actually processing. So that's why we choose AR invoice offset. Let's put in our supplier here for our Sparks Industries, and then we'll see how this all comes together. So now here within the window, we can see that we have all within the same payment header here. We have the AR invoice offset details, so we can see the invoice here that is owed to us for $7,000. And if I scroll further down, you can see here is the payment that we owe them for $10,000. Now I'm going to scroll back up here to the top just to show you that right now the payment amount shows as $0 because we haven't selected anything in the grids below. But once I apply this $7,000 invoice, and then once I go down and apply the $10,000 payment, once I scroll back up, you will see the payment amount now shows as $3,000. From this point, of course, we would just go back to the session header here and process through as normal and post our payment. And that's all there is to doing the offset. And that will bring us to the end of today's video. Be looking forward to next month when we will show you how this works on the accounts receivable side. For now, thank you for watching. Have a great day, and thank you for being an M1 customer.